been for a ride, and on the way back into the Hilton in Adelaide, I bumped into young Allan Davis, who's the winner of this race from 2009.
Yep.
And thought we'd have a quick chat. So I put him in the chair and I turned on the camera, and here we are. How's life?
Life's good, mate. Life's good. Obviously still living in Europe, in Spain now, with my family. So it's been a big part of my life for the last 20 odd years, as we spoke earlier on. 16 or 17 years in Spain. So it's good to come out to Australia every year. And I was actually down at the national titles with the Brisbane Continental cycling team, as I'm a sports director there this year, and then up to Bundy in the week in between this race and then the national. So it was good to get up to Bundaberg, where I'm originally from, and help the local club up there with a good track carnival they had on the weekend. So yeah, life's good. So a bit of a round trip, quick trip, and back to Europe, and hopefully my little son will be born in a couple of weeks' time.
You're still in bike riding. You can't avoid it, really, can you?
No, I'd be mad not to, Rob. I still love it. I still have a lot of passion for bike riding. I've done it all my life. I've got a lot of knowledge and experiences, I think it's fair to say. I'd be mad not to still, stay in the game, so to speak. So basically coaching now with AllanDavisCycling.com. Been doing that since I retired, and conducting luxury cycling holidays. So cycling packages in Europe as well, with under that umbrella business brand. So that's been going good. The Tour de France is booked pretty much out this year, so we've got a trip for the Welter still available. So everything's online there if anyone's interested in terms of the tours. But that's pretty much what I've been doing post-retirement.
Okay. You hadn't really set yourself up for it. You were just riding your bike, merrily since you were about, 14, 15 years old.
Correct.
And then you end up in Europe, you have your career, then you get an injury more or less, and it's she's all over.
Started racing when I was 10. Obviously, as you know, Rob, following Dad and my uncle's race. So my brother and I, we wanted to start earlier. Dad said no, you're not starting till you're 10. And then so went through all the younger age groups and divisions, and through to the QAS and the AIS, and then on to being professional in 2001, and all the way through to 2013 with finishing with Orica.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it was a really bad year. There was a lot of teams stopping. I didn't really want to stop. I wanted to do another couple of years, to be honest, and I had an agreement with Escoteloscudi, basically my home team, as I lived in the Basque Country for the last, like I said, 16 years, and unfortunately that stopped, that folded, the whole team and project. So, and back on Soleil stopped as well. So there was a lot of riders on the market, so to speak, and I had a couple of options, but they weren't, sort of getting on the end of my career, rather than being a 21-year-old or 22-year-old where you'd take anything. So basically decided to call it quits and turn the page and concentrate on the next chapter of my life, which is with business and being involved in the cycling world as a sports director as well, and just creating that next chapter.
Sounds like a dumb question, but has cycling served you well? Do you feel like you've set yourself up for a happy life after being a pro bike rider?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, cycling gave me a lot more than I ever expected. I on many fronts as well, not only the economical side, but just a lot of life experiences that you have as a cyclist. For example, a lot of guys out there right now won't realise it, but as a professional cyclist, you learn to dedicate your energy into something, which is being a good cyclist, right? So it means stretching, diet, everything across the board. So you learn to put all your energy into something to go faster on a bike, and that in itself is a very good skill, I think, in general life. Outside of cycling, after cycling as well, if you know how to put your time and energy into something, you're pretty much going to succeed, no matter what it is, whether it's banking, painting a house, or building, or whatever. And that you do learn as a professional athlete. I mean, I learned it as a cyclist, and I'm speaking from my home behalf. So that's been a great learning skill that I've got from cycling, and now taking that into business after my racing days are over. It's I don't really complain about it too much because I find it pretty easy to dedicate and move forward in whatever I'm doing. So that's a really good fact I got out of cycling. That's not really written, or no one really talks about. But Mick Rogers and I, we talk about it quite a bit as well, and a few of the old guys. And that is one thing that we didn't have time to study a degree, but we studied cycling. We studied that putting your energy into something. That's not a bad it's not a bad feather in a hat now after racing is finished.
I guess it's just that being raised with coaches, like a lot of people haven't gone through that kind of system. Okay, you might have a dalliance with the football club when you're a youngster or something.
Yeah.
But you've been coached. You always had someone that you could use as an advisor.
Yeah.
I guess given that you've raised that topic, who was key in your life? You worked with Aldo Sassi. We've talked about that before. Yeah.
First of all, it was Dad.
Yeah.
Dad put us on the right track. He's a really good coach. All through those younger age groups, the QAS, come from Queensland, that was available. But we really stuck to Dad, and he really knew. We were really lucky. We got put on the right pathway really, really quick and easy through Dad. And a lot of other riders of Dad's looked after, look back and thank him now. And he really knew what he was doing in terms of coaching and putting young athletes in the right frame of mind and juggling, adolescence and normal life as well, right? You're not parenthood. Yeah. We're not professionals at that age, so Dad was really good at balancing everything and making sure we're having fun, as well as moving up the ranks and going towards that professional contract. So that was really good. My brother and I were pretty lucky, and my sister were all Australian champions, basically because of Dad. And then that led on to us going to the AOS, and I spent a lot of time with Brian Stevens there. He was basically my next coach, which was really good as well. Brian had a lot of experience. It was sort of the next step into Europe, where Brian was there pretty much living with us all the time, and it was really good in terms of that next step in turning professional. So that was sort of the in-between coach between Dad and turning professional was Brino. So that was once again, I was pretty lucky, I could say, and we all could say in the AOS days to have Brino there in those days to put us in the right pathway and turn pro. Then work with Aldo in the MAPA days, the first early professional, and also in the Brino would have also chat with Aldo and Luca Guacciolino as well, in those under 23 transition to professional. So it's sort of like a 4-year period there. They're all sort of monitoring the young talent coming through from Australia. And then Neil Stevens. Neil Stevens was pretty much my coach from then on, and Brino's brother. And then I moved to the Basque Country with Once when I signed with Once, and Steve helped me out with an apartment there, and we really loved it there, so we stayed there. And then Steve started basically coaching me, giving me a hand, and that was my best years of my my professional career was with Steve-O.
We've covered other topics over the years. You and I have spoken often. We did a long interview a couple of years ago when you were just setting up your holidays. So I'll put a link to all of that story in with this column. But I look at you now, I see a huge scar on your knee. Yeah. I think that sort of contributed to sort of another aesthetic feature of yours, and it can't be ignored. You're kind of large now compared to how you were as a bike rider. And I don't mean to pull too many punches, but do you want to, a lot of people are going to ask about that. We have talked about it before. Can you explain your weight gain?
I basically retired and started playing soccer. The first year after retirement, I was a bit over the bike after 25 years or something. So I started playing soccer, which I did as a young fella, and went nearly to a Queensland state team in before cycling took over. So I enjoy soccer and I enjoy rugby league. So I would have liked to play rugby league, but I thought, getting a bit old now, I don't really want to get injured, so I'll play soccer.
There's not a lot of rugby league in the Basque country, though, is it?
A lot of rugby, but
okay.
And no, we moved in Australia for a year, so we're in Australia, and so I started playing soccer just to keep fit. We're training twice a week and playing on the weekends, and then I did my ACL ligament in May. It started in January, and and then basically I went on the waiting list to get operated on for a year. So then we went back to Spain, family and I, and I went from being an athlete all my life to sitting on the couch basically and waiting for an op. So I got up to about 114 kilos in total, and obviously I couldn't run anymore. Swimming, they said I could do it, but I just couldn't do it with the way there was a lot of pain when I was swimming. The only other thing I could do was riding, so I wasn't really keen to go for a ride, so I didn't do much for a year and put the weight on, mate. But
did you drink a lot? Did you eat a lot? What was the...
No, there wasn't really much change in my lifestyle. I'm a dad and we cruise around, and it was funny, I had this conversation the other day. It was like my body went, thank God he stopped. I'm going to absorb a fair bit, I was just putting it on like really fast.
How quickly did it grow? Because you raced at about 70, if I'm right.
Yeah. Like after a grand tour, I'd get down to about 65.
Right.
70 I'd won Tour Down Under about 69, 70 kilos, yeah. But I got up to about 114 kilos, yeah, so... It's
almost double.
So, yeah. And, I filled out a lot. I did a lot of gym, and I actually did a lot of weights and stuff like that just to do something, and put a bit on in terms of upper body. And also, so I got the operation done, then started rehab after a year, and so sort of going back into it now. I'm doing 3-hour rides pretty easy. Lost down to 97 kilos now, so I'm on the way back, but I don't, I could really push it and starve myself and do, do what we did before, but I'm not really into that. I'm happy just being able to do a couple of hour rides, and 3-hour rides pretty comfy, and just keep going with life the way it is now.
Okay, you go uphill a bit slower than you did back.
Exactly, just go slower uphill and enjoy the downhills. So my wife actually prefers me the way I am now, and she's a model, so I'm pretty happy with whatever she thinks. So we met in the Vuelta País Vasco on the podium actually. So she said, I don't want you being on skin and bones like when I met you. So she's happy, so I'm happy, mate.
I was talking with Rod Ellingworth about it the other day and saying that the elite bike riders, they watch their weight to such a point that they're a very sickly crew, really.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a bit of a hidden problem. It's not spoken about too much. It's within the riders themselves, like, because you have to be that fine, you have to be so lean and have to be so power to weight aware. You have to find that balance. Sometimes I think a lot of riders sort of want to, it's like keeping up with the Joneses and want to look lean and forget actually being a bit heavier. You probably go a bit better, but because of the fad of being so lean, maybe with a few riders going under than what they really should be in terms of weight. I think it's sort of gone that way a little bit, and it's not really spoken about too much. And it's something, it's one of the aspects I'd like to, now I'm with the team as a sports director, just to get to know the riders and make sure they're not actually skipping meals, and we're worried about results and not worried about photos. So and it's been a problem in cycling, I think, for a long time. Getting told, I've never been told I've looked good, even when I was 69 kilos. Always been told I was fat. So it's just part of the old school sort of cycling. Now I am fat, I can take it on the chin, but the way the whole cycling realm is, you have to lose 2 kilos, you have to lose 3 kilos. It's sort of, it's not really a healthy environment, I think, for a guy who can't handle that, getting told that all the time consistently. I can see how some guys would find it hard and crack a little bit.
But it might contribute to anorexia or bulimia or different eating disorders, is just that constant barrage of message to be saying, be skinnier, be skinnier.
Yeah, it wouldn't help the situation. Like I said before, mate, they should be concentrating on complementing the results and not and the way the message is brought across to a rider as well, I think could be a different way to analyse sort of, so there is riders where you could, show them on a graph, like if you're 2 kilos skinnier, you can go this much faster. We think with your testing and your numbers, rather than saying,
Lean up.
you're fat. You know what I mean? So definitely it can cause serious problems, I think.
And I guess that's why when you knew that you were growing that week, the year on the lounge, you were still resistant to. You were just like, I will stuff it.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I'll just go with this.
Yeah, I was just exactly. If I, I just didn't really want to have a schedule in my life at that stage, because it was all scheduled. We're like robots, for so long. It was like nice to not have a schedule and have to eat this and weigh your pasture and weigh your. It was nice just to eat whatever you want, really, and drink whatever you want. I was having a beer at night time. I enjoy a beer, and as a rider, you couldn't do that. So I was went down that path for a year, and it was never a problem. But I'd never, if I felt like a beer, I'd have a beer type thing. So I catch up with mates who'd have 4 or 5, just normal life, like anyone else in Australia or anyone else brought up in a hot climate as well, like Australia. So yeah, that's just how it went, mate. And everything's good. Life's good for me at the moment, and the future's looking good with the business, and like with family as well. So yeah, we're in a good place.
And you're here to watch Tour Down Under. You're part of the Legends Night, I'd imagine, as one of the former winners.
Yeah.
You'll be paraded in front of the crowd on Saturday night and enjoy yourself and
I will
look back on it and with a little bit of nostalgia, but not with the need to talk about the glory days, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's just nice to get recognised, but talk about the young guys coming through and the where cycling is at the moment, and the guys that are involved, and just enjoy the event for what it is, and cycling for what it's done for cycling. I think it's pretty cool to just be a spectator of as well this week, especially being here since '99. See the race develop over so long. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. We often talk about the pioneers of Australian cycling, guys like Phil Anderson and Cadell get thrown up into the mix.
Yep.
Regularly for a good reason, but I consider you to be a true pioneer of Australian cycling. You've been through a lot, and it's been fun watching that journey. Yeah,
thank you, Rob. And if I've helped any young guy come through, that's a real honour, and that's what I think that's what we should all be doing as professional cyclists from Australia. Helping the younger breeds come through, and for them to look up to, and then. And the cycle goes round.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Good to have a chat.
Thanks, mate. Good man.
Thanks.
No worries.